There's a sound in the mountains.
I might write a song about it. That you're sitting and the wind goes through the trees.
I was doing my knee slapping.
And it's so peaceful.
Yeah.
And anyway.
That's pretty good.
That's more like wind through the rocks and the desert. It's this sort of rolling growl as it rolls through the trees. Anyway, it's because there aren't any trees here, or rather the topography is so flat, you don't really hear the trees rolling from the mountains in the distance. And you can roll, like
we
you
hear
see the...
Yeah, you don't hear the wind, you feel the wind. You feel it right in your face.
That's right.
Unless it's like 2 a.m. and that random windstorm comes through and it's like, and you're like, what is happening right now?
My favorite story about mountains is the Oregon Trail. And this lady got left behind. Her family all died. And she got stuck in this cabin halfway and had to listen to the wind, like you were saying, like that. And went insane just because of that sound eventually. That's all she ever heard.
That's
spoke
terrifying.
to no one, Wow. They eventually came back to her because they said they would. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she lost it. It's crazy.
She saw the Conestoga wagon slowly rolling away from her in the distance.
Yeah.
We were in the mountains last week too, and
how was Banff?
It's on the hat.
And your jacket.
And my jacket, yes. It felt like it was a completely different world. Oh, hang on. I'll tell you in a second. The camera's not recording. Please hold.
It's got a red light on it.
Oh, it does.
Oh, now the red light's off.
Someone fill the silence.
Now in the mountain.
There's a sound goes through the trees. It's the sound of peaceful feelings that you get
In the breeze.
There you go. Yeah. There's legs there.
Okay. And round 2.
I think that should be our opening music.
Hey, we recorded it. So it was just a completely different world, though. I'll pull up just one picture, maybe 2. We did one massive hike the very first day, 7.5 miles round trip, and we gained 2,800 feet. And we were already a mile up, so we definitely felt it because we're not used to doing that. But the lake looked like that when you got to the top, and it was insane.
That's amazing.
Look
how blue that is.
Yeah.
It's like someone just took a baby blue crayon.
It was bizarre.
That looks photoshopped with baby
I know,
blue.
right? So we got up there, and it was really cool. We got to experience every season. We saw snow and rain and
How
hot
high were
and
you
cold.
at? What was your elevation?
I don't know. It was really high.
You said it was a mile up.
Well, we were already a mile up, and then we
Yeah.
hiked higher than that.
So you went to 7,500.
Yeah, something like that.
So our cabin was 9,500 feet.
Really? Wow, that's up there.
It's high. And then there's
cabin?
it's a little house. Whenever I first thought, oh, cabin in the mountains? Wow. And I'm thinking these 17, 18 room mansions.
Oh.
It's like, no. This is like cabin.
One room.
And it's nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we would go up on a hike. We also went on a hike. But we went to Katara Pass, which is 11,000 feet. And it's nice. I got a sunburn. It was rough, but it was nice and cool, and it was nice being in the mountains and in the trees. I think that's what I miss about being in East Texas is the trees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I miss the trees too. But this was my favorite one.
Oh,
that's great.
You guys are great.
Look how beautiful that is.
Wait, whoa, dude! Congratulations, bro.
Huh? Oh. Congrats.
Thank
Dude.
you. We're very excited.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's awesome.
For
dude.
those listening that can't see, we are having a baby.
Oh, my
Wow.
goodness.
Yeah.
You announced it here.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, it won't post for a minute, so
You
we're
you just see how thick I am that I was looking at the mountains like, that's so beautiful. And then
Well, it took George a second too. He was like, "Oh, that's such a good picture," and
then
I was like, stare longer, George."
and then I've seen those photos before.
I know that
Yeah,
it's a photo op.
that's a black and white peanut.
Yes. Baby Stuart coming in March.
Awesome. Do you know the
2025
gender?
Not
No,
yet.
not
We'll
yet.
find out next
Well,
week.
congrats.
Well, very good. You took the DNA test.
I'm learning all the things. I
All
don't
the
know.
things.
So
Well, good. I'm happy for you, man.
Thank
That's
you.
so exciting.
yeah.
Does she feel good? Like,
Oh,
is-
yeah.
Okay, great.
Already through the first trimester and
Oh, already through the first trimester?
didn't have any morning sickness or anything. So
Man,
yeah.
she doesn't even show. That's crazy. I didn't even know. I couldn't even tell.
It's been a really hard secret to keep for 12 weeks.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that things
I don't, yeah. Wow. Me too, by the way.
You too, what?
Yeah, we're having a baby too.
What?
Yeah.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah, serious. Yeah, baby girl. I think probably the exact same time. March 20th is the due date.
March 13th.
Wow.
1 week.
Yeah. They're
Justin, do you have some?
having
No.
a baby? You should go home right now. Just kidding.
No, actually, I know for certain. It's just
What on earth? That's so cool.
Yeah.
wow, both of you guys, congrats.
Thank you.
So the podcast is ending? Is that what we're saying?
Oh.
Is that what we're here to announce? That's my news, is the podcast is ending, folks. Sorry.
That's amazing.
Tune in now.
When do y'all tell people?
Well, I wasn't going to say anything. They didn't want to take away from me. But I also, then you're like, it won't be posted for the next few weeks. I was like, oh.
Why not?
So I think next week we'll tell someone.
Okay.
We'll announce it next week.
Yeah.
Or,
Well, congrats.
Yeah. Thank
Both of you.
Yeah. The church is finding out tonight for us.
okay,
so-
great. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're going to announce it next week. So I've already told a handful of people
Mhm.
and my family.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, congrats.
Thank you.
No, I have nothing to announce.
Except the mountains.
Well, once again, how thick I was. I was looking at this picture. I'm like, oh, those mountains are so pretty. Wow. Hiking up there would be fantastic. And then I wasn't even looking at all.
Well, the reveal was my favorite thing ever because we flew to Tyler to do the little reveal to my parents because
yeah?
they just thought we were swinging by to see them because we wouldn't see them until Christmas again. So we had a whole slideshow of all the Banff pictures, and we landed. We had the most ridiculous layover, and we finally got to Tyler at like 8:00. Excuse me, and mom and dad were like, "Hey, I know y'all are probably exhausted. You want to go to bed?" And we're like, "No, we could look at a few pictures first if you want to." And they're like, "Sure." So we went through the little photo slideshow, and the last picture was that picture. And I was like, "And here's the last one." And they were both staring at the TV, and they're like, "Oh, that's so good." And Dad went, "Oh." Mom was like, "Ah!" So that reaction was fantastic. But my favorite reaction was the Smith family.
Oh.
Because we got back from vacation and we went over to the Smith house and it was just going to be us and them. And then Amy and Justin were like, "Hey, we're coming over." And then Mindy and Wes were like, "Hey, we're going to come over too." And we're like, "Yes, this worked out perfect." And so we went through the picture slideshow and then that was the last picture. And it took them a hot second. Like they all just stared at it. And then I'm not kidding. It was like, you know, the Smiths. It was a miniature explosion.
Wow.
It made Duncan cry. Like, everybody was screaming at the top of their lungs. So it was
I love it.
fun.
Wow.
Man. Third wave at Milwaukee.
It is. Yeah,
Wave
it
three.
really is.
Yeah.
Wave 3.
Wave
Yeah.
3.
What do they put in the water after the men's conference?
Yep. But yeah,
So that's your first,
that's our first.
and that's your 12th. Congrats.
No, it's my third.
Oh, your third.
And George dies with me. So,
So it's a girl.
This is the last
yeah,
then?
it's a girl. It'll be Georgia May
Yeah.
is her name.
Wait, really?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, cool.
Yeah. So,
That's a great
yeah,
idea.
Put a little end
Georgia?
to it.
Yeah.
Georgia May. Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
Yeah. So,
Well, cool.
I was thinking about that just yesterday.
no G6.
Well, what?
There can be a G6. You know.
Yeah, my brothers
Oh.
will do it. But I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the girl. I know girls. You know,
Mhm.
you know, it's like a comfort,
Mm-hmm.
which is good.
Yeah.
And then my girls will have someone to play with and dress up, and so that'll be good.
Yay.
Follow in the footsteps of Keith.
That is true.
Mm.
He's it's an amazing and scary and exciting and wonderful time. And that's your
It is
first.
All the things.
Yeah.
That's
sure.
really exciting.
How are you
Yeah,
feeling
your
about
first?
I feel great. When we had our first appointment and we got back home, we were talking about all the things. We got to hear the heartbeat and everything, which we had probably a little bit of anxiety about that because, Julie's first pregnancy and then ours as well, like not knowing if there's actually, a baby with a heartbeat or anything in there, if everything's okay. So seeing the picture and the heartbeat and everything was very reassuring, and we were super excited about that. Super emotional too. But then I got home and I was feeling fantastic. I was super excited. And then I opened up my computer and I was like, all right, I'm going to start. I'm a list maker. I love checking things off lists. I was like, I'm going to start making a list of all the things that we need to do before we have the baby. And I started typing things out and I was like, I started thinking about all these different things and then budgeting and paying for a baby and raising a child. And I've started doing Bible studies on how to be a father, which obviously, hopefully I will figure it out. But, there's a bajillion and one things. I don't have a clue what I'm doing. So
Only enough where you open up the Bible and find out no one knew how to do it.
I've just been studying Abraham and Isaac, that
Just the success stories. About 3, 2.
But yeah, I know I'm feeling great. I'm still obviously a little terrified,
Sure.
but very excited. Very, very excited. I mean, I've always wanted to have kids, so
That's awesome.
Caleb.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm in awe for you.
Do you have any names or ideas, or
when we first
I know
found
Keith
out,
has a list.
Oh yeah. When we first found out, we started playing around with. Anytime we're in the car, we play the name game. We'll just say a name back and forth and be like, nah, yeah. And Julie's told me and my family, she's like, it's bad because Caleb knows too many people. So she'll say a name and be like, ooh, no, I know a person with that name and we can never name a child. Which it would be different once you name your child then that is the name that you'll think of.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time too, I struggle with knowing people and
Someone else.
yeah, someone else, and it's not even bad. Sometimes it's oh no, but most of the time it's I know that person and I don't want that to be a name for us because I just know somebody with that name. So
Same.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. Do you have a name?
It's
you
tricky.
literally just told me the name.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it should be good.
Yeah.
Should be good.
It is a
Pretty
good
easy.
name.
We're always very quick to do that. We knew the names.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I am so nonchalant about it. I was like, yeah, sure. If that's what you want to name the kid, I'm cool with that. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I've had a lot of opinions.
See, Rose was like you. She was a teacher, so
Yeah.
she had students.
Oh, I could see that.
And
yeah.
so any name that I came up with, and it's not a fun game.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on my 600th suggestion. Come up with something. No, this is fun. Keep going. No, it's not. No, we can't do that. No, not that kid. No, he did that one thing. What? Anyway,
I understand that.
So yeah, Rose was more like you about vetoing every name under the sun. We actually had named Charlotte something else, and Evelyn. I think it was Evelyn Rose. I think that's what we had chosen for Charlotte.
Oh, good name.
And someone in our immediate family circle had a baby
Oh.
and named their child Evelyn Rose.
Are you serious?
A few weeks prior.
Man.
And so we sort of thought about it, and I think we had another month or two, but it just became Charlotte. And then we were split on, is it Charlotte Rose or Charlotte Jane? Jane after Jane Austen, and Rose after Rose. And apparently there's a Charlotte Rose in the United Kingdom whose profession is rather questionable when you Google that name. So that's why we didn't name her Charlotte Rose.
Gotcha.
So she's
Probably
Charlotte,
wise.
So she's Charlotte Jane.
Yeah. Well, cool. That's a great name.
But yeah, Evelyn Rose. We were going to call her Evie because we both like the Mummy, the movie. We both like the movie, The Mummy.
The Mummy.
And but yeah, if somebody named their kid
Yeah.
And then I interacted with Sam almost immediately after because everybody threw a baby shower for me here and diapers and all that, diaper shower. And Sam came up. He says, "Okay, what did you name her?" I said, "Charlotte Jane." And he goes, "Oh, we have a Charlotte Jane." I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." So Sam and Emma named one of their kids Charlotte Jane. So did I. It's like, well, it's nonchalant. I don't really pay attention to anybody else's kids.
That's
Sorry.
amazing.
That was our.
Man.
Yeah. So it's
That's
kind of like
awesome.
when two people invent the telephone at the same time,
Yep.
and then it gets credited to the first person or whoever is more famous or whatever.
That happens a lot.
It seems really coincidental in that way.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah.
Georgia? Is that what you said?
Georgia?
Georgia or Georgina?
No, Georgia.
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 But isn't it crazy that you are deciding on a name for a human being that's going to keep that name forever?
Mm-hmm. Then that name could determine so many other,
Right?
factors about them and how they perceive themselves through that name and how others communicate to them through that name. And, if you had changed their name and gave them a different name, would they make different choices? That's the dumb stuff I hear. I think about.
Did you ever feel that your kids, they are who they're named? I never look at Charlotte. I was like, you know what, you're named this something else. I never felt like I made a mistake naming.
No, I
them.
never did either. I see each one of my kids and I think, yeah, that fits. I like that. I like that. Good.
That's
Happy.
how I felt, at least.
And they seem to be happy too. They're like, I am, I'm Emmy, and don't mispronounce it. Don't misspell it. It is EMMY, not an I.
So there's some solace there. You don't have to have anxiety about choosing
No.
the name
Yeah.
because I think it happens.
Yeah.
Maybe it's God who helps, but that's exciting. May the times that you're able to nap, sleep when the kid sleeps. That's all I can tell you. Sleep when the kid sleeps, and may your coffee be strong.
Okay. Sounds good.
No, you'll be good. Oh man. I mean, look, Psalm 139, right? Your eyes saw me inside the womb. All the days ordained for me were recorded in your scroll before one of them came into existence. I think that's so cool. That's the same passage. Like, yeah, you wove me together in my mother's womb. And certainly you made my mind and heart. Think about God making our minds and our hearts, which is pretty neat. Yeah. So anyway,
It's kind of a milestone, isn't it?
yeah.
I remember I was just so filled with fear and uncertainty, life changes, and even now, like I have a 12-year-old and a 5-year-old now, or almost 5, and every day is sort of a mystery, a new discovery, a new discussion. And if your kids are explosive, my kids are pretty explosive.
Really?
Yeah, they can be just sort of really highs, really lows, and everything in between. And the times that there's peace, you sort of reflect that and wish for that, especially when you're in those explosive times. But it seems from my observations that most parents, if they pretend like they know what they're doing, if it looks like they've got it all together, they don't. And that's the thing that I've sort of realized is that everybody's just trying their best and figuring it out.
Yeah.
And I think in those sad cases where parents, either pull the cord and get out or what have you, which there is some of that in the world, a lot of that actually, that it's sad for the kids. And, the decisions that you make now aren't just about you, and now aren't just about you and your spouse. Mm-hmm. Now it's about you, your spouse, and your kids. And that was hard for me to go from enjoying being a bachelor, enjoying doing my hobbies and the things that I enjoyed doing, and then turning into, well, how do I incorporate another human being? And then how do I incorporate another human being into that? And then I've got 2. You're about to have 3. And so, I look to like my dad. Like, how did my dad do it? How did my mom do it? 3 boys. Just,
Yeah.
I mean, how did Keith do it? How did Sam do it? These people who have 3 and 4 and 5 kids. Just, wow. So there's lots of strength when you look at them and observe them and help them. And anyway, you didn't ask for my advice, but it seems like there's always if I were in your shoes again, what I would want to tell myself is, if anybody tells you how to do it, take the good things that you can from it, but don't ever think that you are, not worthy or whatever.
It's going to look different for every parent-child relationship. And you guys are different personalities with different situations and circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And man, a lot of grace. There's like a lot of grace
Mm.
because there's like unknowns and not everyone has all the answers. And then you're trying to figure everything out. And then you have to remember their children and they're trying to figure everything out.
Mm-hmm.
And so to beat them up because they made a mistake, man, that's rough. That's, a lot of grace.
Mm.
I'm always drawn to Matthew 5 because what's helped me as a parent is thinking about how God looks at me, and it really has shaped me and the way I look at my spirituality and my relationship with God and Jesus, which is, if I'm so harsh on my kid because I know that he can do better, I know that she can do better, and so I'm harsh and I'm quick to correct, and mostly because that's kind of how I want to be treated. I want to be, no, get back on the path and stop. But that's not how God does us. He allows us to freely come in and out. And so what's the influence there? What appeals to our hearts to behave, to have fear of the authority? And I don't mean like to be afraid. I mean to be respectful in your place in the power hierarchy. And how do you appeal to someone else in love? To be kind, to be soft, to be gentle. That's where I am personally, is working through that. And, Matthew 5, it says, judge how you will be judged. As you judge others, that's how God's going to judge you.
Mm-hmm.
That's an amazing law of liberty that Christ in his testament gives to mankind. That's the peace between God and man, that there is an intermediary, that God dwells within us in the Holy Spirit. But I take that to heart, that how I look at other people and judge people, that's how I'm going to be judged.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I judge people with snap judgments and quick-witted and maybe even harsh, that's how God's going to look at me. And I don't want that for myself. What I want for myself is grace and peace and, hey, I know you made these mistakes constantly, but I understand why. And that's why we have that forgiveness. Not that I'm justifying sin. What I'm saying is that to have that in understanding the parent-child relationship is helping you understand you as the child of God with our Father in heaven.
Yeah. That's one of the biggest takeaways I've learned as well. Is it's kind of shaped how I think about my relationship with God. And maybe because that's all I'm thinking about is parenting, that's maybe how it reflects on my faith as well. But yeah, it's amazing to think. And just in this one passage we're talking about in Psalm 139, he's like, how difficult it is for me to fathom your thoughts about me. Oh God. So, you know, we can't even think like God thinks, right? His thoughts are higher than ours, and his ways are higher than ours, and it's very similar to just a child-parent relationship as well. And it's just coming together and learning, and yeah, you'll figure it out. But man, it's the good times, right? It's the good times when your baby laughs and cries and like giggles, and yeah, that's like the best stuff. You just gotta hold on to those moments. You know, you're playing with them. It'll be good. But, it's fine. You know, just don't overthink it, man. You get to the point where I think millennials especially, we're like overthinking everything. I just told my kid, good job, and I just listened to a podcast that said, don't do that instead. You know, tell them that they put in so much work and, you know, praise them for their effort. Now, don't just say good job and give them credit. Oh my goodness, that just ruined them. You know, overthinking is just like, oh my goodness, no. Like they got everything they need, right? They got you and everything else they're not thinking about. So, it'll be good.
I mean, even Samuel yesterday brought home a science experiment, and I walk in the kitchen. It was not discussed with me, but there's a Coke can sitting on top of my stove. With the stove on, and I said, what are you doing? He goes, I'm doing a science experiment. I said, who said you could do this? And, oh, you know, my teacher said this, and I said, is your teacher going to replace my cooktop when it breaks? No. Anyway, so
That's
then
amazing.
I look, what are you talking about? And I looked it up, and I said, okay. Because I let him go through with it, and the experiment didn't work. And so what the experiment was is that you take a Coke can, and you fill it up with about 30 milliliters of water, which is a few ounces. And you put it on the burner, Bunsen burner, torch, something. And you get it to where you see steam rising from the open Coke can, which is the water boiling inside the can. So you know that the can is hot. But because the water is boiling, there is vapor inside the can. And so the pressure is different than the atmospheric pressure outside the can. And then you have a plunge of ice water in a whatever. Yeah. And you take tongs and you submerge upside down the Coke can in the ice water, and it crushes the can. And so he tried it and it didn't work. So I looked it up and I said, okay, I understand what to do. And so we tried it and it worked. Boom. It was really effective. And to see that curiosity come over him, and I didn't want to quelch it, but I also was like, please don't break my cooktop. What do you like? Can we have a little more control? Let me go buy it. Let's get a torch, you know.
That's awesome. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Whatever it is. But then I said, okay, well, that can't really hurt, you know. And I was even thinking like get a double boiler, you know, put it in water, whatever. You know, how do I make it to where I don't have to because I have to cook food here, you know. But his curiosity was really exciting, and you don't want to quelch that, but then you also want to do it. Well, let's just not be reckless with our curiosity. But then having a place for kids to be able to play and have those experiences. And I think when I was growing up, I actually visited Lubbock a few times, and we went to the Science Spectrum. And the Science Spectrum was always this place of wonder and excitement.
Yeah.
And discovery and hands-on and really tactile memories that I still carry with me today, so much so that even now when I go to the Science Spectrum, it's the same experiments. It hasn't really changed much, which is in a way sad, but then in a way good. There's some new stuff there. But it was always one of those things where I never was quelched in curiosity. And I think that's how we're treated by God as well, where we always, like you read a lot of the Psalms, and a lot of them are fathoming. I'm sitting and I'm pondering and I'm thinking about my place in the world, my place in the universe, my relationship with this God who we can't, I can't talk to him like I'm talking to you, but I can. It's just a level of faith. And I can talk to God. I can have a relationship with God. I can rely on God. And to be able to see the working of God in your life is sort of that discovery, that hands-on, tactile discovery, that curiosity that is a child's heart. Jesus says, let the children come to me. There's this curiosity of wanting to be with God. And I think what people get turned away from, perhaps, in some way is shame. Like if you have an authority situation with a parent figure who is really harsh and induces shame on you, that's not as healthy as...
Yeah, I'd agree.
And so that's where that sort of turning away from God, and if... Because I think about that too. People who don't revere God and don't look at God or Jesus, they don't care. No, I don't want anything to do with that. Is it accountability? Is it because, your parental figure gave you some type of negative feelings in a way? And so I know that's a rabbit hole I've just went down, but I'm... As someone who has vivid memories from childhood, and now I'm realizing that I'm 38 and that time is moving on and I have no control over it. It's exciting and it's disorienting and it's sad and it's wonderful. And, to now have you guys having babies on the way, it's amazing how every day brings a new challenge. But, buddy, you've got a big one coming. And you'll do great.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
And
You'll
if
be
not,
a great dad.
You'll still do great. I mean, that's really it.
Yep. Yep. You'll be a great dad. You'll be good. All right. To all the dads out there, go Sal. If you want to know more about the Bible or you have any questions, our email is in the description below. You can DM us. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're looking for a church family or you're in the Lubbock area, we invite you to come visit and hang out with us in Milwaukee. We love for you to find a church who practices the love of Christ.